And so can everybody see my screen at this point? At least one person unmute. Okay, I can see a couple of, okay. So the presentation today is the membership piece, okay? And it's all about, it's the fourth one of the pre-pet session. After this, you'll only have the pets itself. But the whole key is it's about membership. And it's about what it is to attract members, what it is to retain members, what data you have, setting some of your goals, and looking at some of the biases you may have and things that you may want to do to solve that. What attracts people to Rotary? I think people want to be part of a organization that they control themselves. So they want to be part of a self-governing organization. They want to do something meaningful, and they want to be part of something that it's at least as good as anything else and hopefully better. What do you want to get out of Rotary? Can you hear the audio?
What do you get out of Rotary? Our Rotary International Director, Jeff Caderet, speaks of our members and prospective members as our customers.
Think of joining Rotary as a commercial transaction. We ask people joining Rotary to contribute their time, energy, ideas, and money. When you buy something, it's because you need or want it. We need to make it very clear what our purchasers are getting when they buy us.
I think for many of us, Rotary has changed our lives significantly. Think about that and see if you can convey it to prospective members. Rotary gives you the chance to meet people you never otherwise would have met. Rotary gives you the opportunity to do things you could not have done on your own. Rotary gives you a set of principles and values with which to live your life. Prospective members need to know that Rotary is an effective network of community leaders, and membership gives them access to this valuable group. A Rotarian receives personal growth, fellowship, professional development and leadership training, continuing education, public speaking skills, family opportunities, unique travel experiences,
And most importantly, we get the opportunity to serve our communities locally and those in need internationally. Through Rotary, you can make a difference.
Now, for those of you who don't realize that, the star of that presentation is one of our president-elects this year, Lawrence Furbish, and the technical side of producing it is Barbara Sutcliffe, and they're both on the video tonight. So you want to wave your hands so that everybody sees who you are. All right. So I think you've seen this slide before, but it's important to reinforce that all are welcome. And this is quite a list of all the different people that are welcome. And I think the picture shows it. But we want to try to always have our Rotary clubs welcoming organizations. If you have a membership plan of what you want to do, what you want to try to do is look at some of the demographics of your club and look at age demographics, gender, cultural, and look at the recruiting and retention. So you can decide what needs to be done so that your members stay and you can attract new members. Okay, some sources of new members. that you may not have capitalized on is ask your speakers to join the club. Ask those people that are donors, those supporters of your fundraisers. Ask any of the charitable organizations where you have done work for them, and offer corporate or other flexible membership opportunities. Make sure that all your events are public to the extent possible. The more public your event is, using all the various Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or Twitter, you have the opportunity to bring in new members. Events and socials. You want to be sure that you're hosting your events in a fun environment and someplace where the new members or prospective members want to go. And then you also want to do something to entice your current members to bring people. You may want to offer them prizes or raffles or something else. There are also many different districts around New England that has a Rotary means business, which is a way of encouraging people to use the Rotary connections to improve their business capabilities. So there's a bunch of sources of information if you want to look at your Rotary Club, and these are all going to be published as part of the PowerPoint later, so you can look at them later, but you can use these sources to determine the strength of your club, what's going on, and also some ideas on how to introduce new members or orientation guides. There are also assessment tools. There's a membership assessment tool. There's a membership satisfaction survey available. And what you want to do is engage members and regularly recognize members for their achievements. You need to keep all the members involved in projects and activities and encourage all members to take a leadership role. And that's all members, including new members. The faster somebody can get involved and take a leadership role, the more engaged they will be. Membership data can tell a story, okay? Do you have any data? Do you have a plan on what you want to do? Do you have a plan for diversity? Are there part of your demographics in your community that are missing from your club? And if so, do you have a way to target them? Are things in your club relevant? And do you communicate and connect and engage with people? And most importantly, is Rotary a value proposition? Is it worth it to be part of a member, to be a member of your Rotary Club? You also want to take a look at your trends. Is membership increasing, decreasing, or plateauing? Are there mix of people changing? Are you getting to be an older club than you used to be? Are you getting to be a younger club than you used to be? All of these you have to look at, and we looked at them as we transition from in-person to virtual, and we're going to need to look again as we transition back from virtual to in-person. There's a lot of data available, data on age, years of service, gender, and then the question is, where do you get that data? Well, on Club Central, this happens to be data from my club, the Portland Club, but there's membership trends, there's gender trends, there's age trends. So if you want to have data on your club, that's a way to go. Now, I will have to bring to your attention that it's only as good as the data that you get. And so there are a number of people who do not want to share their age, birthday. Some people don't even want to share their gender. So the data may not be complete, but it can give you a window on what's going on. Club culture is extremely important, okay? Do you have a culture of service, okay? And do you have a culture where Rotarians really want to contribute and lead to inspire and grow Rotary together? When you're thinking about growing Rotary, it's more than just gaining members, it's gaining good members. And you need to respond to the personalized needs of the club members and the future members. It's a competitive market out there. If we look at just what's going on around us, now these happen to be all over the country, but if you do any of these Googles for Google Young Professional Organization in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, or young professionals in Portland, Maine, you're going to find that there are many opportunities. There are networking opportunities, social opportunities, and volunteering opportunities. So you need to be ready to compete. What's your value proposition? Is your value proposition the 7 areas of focus of the Rotary Foundation? Or is it a weekly dinner meeting? Is it about engagement or is it about attendance? And which do you want it to be? Engagement can be a lot of different things. It can be a variety of clubs like satellite clubs or e-clubs or passport clubs or many other opportunities. Or it can be different ways of getting your club together and getting the community together to join you. You can use Meetup, flash mobs, Facebook, and numerous other apps. And there's also the Club Runner app where you can bring all your Club Runner information onto your phone. You need to have excitement. You need to listen to the new ideas for service and socials. When somebody walks in the door as a new member or potential member, you want to try to understand what moves them, what kind of social they're interested in, and what kind of service are they interested in. If somebody walks in the door and has a very strong interest in the environment, you want to think about, okay, can we put together a project that fosters that interest? And then you want to seek feedback. Feedback not only from your regular members, but also feedback from the new members. Then you need to invite them to join to service, invite them to join to be a part of the meetings, invite them to training assemblies, conferences, and whatever. Is your club over 40 members? If it is, I challenge you to try to grow your club by 7 to 10 new members in the upcoming year. And if your club's below 40 members, I challenge you to try to grow it to 5 to 7 new members. Now, bear in mind, in either of these options, you're going to lose some members for a variety of what I'm going to say are good reasons. Some are going to get ill and not be able to come. Some are going to get new jobs. Some are going to get new family responsibilities. So you have to invite enough and get enough new members to not only compensate for the losses, but continue to grow. Okay, you probably saw Shekhar has been using this term, each one bring one. But it's an interesting concept. If we can just invite our members, every member in the club, to bring one person to the meeting, not necessarily a new member, but just invite one person to join us at a meeting and see what it's all about. And I believe that if we can do that throughout the whole district, we've got a very good chance of growing Rotary in the district. All right, once you've got a new member, it's important to keep them. So you need to have a membership orientation to welcome them, give them club information, invite them to serve, listen to where their interests are, give them information about Rotary International and the breadth of what Rotary International offers, and talk about the foundation. Not only how do you give, but why do you give? Why is it important? What does the foundation do? There's all sorts of different clubs, and I'm not going to read every one on the screen, but there's the traditional satellite, e-clubs, passport, corporate club, cause-based clubs, and Rotaract clubs. We're thinking that we're going to be forming at least two different cause-based clubs are in the process of forming. One is an education-related cause-based club, okay? And we have Megan, who's one of the potential co-presidents, and I don't know whether Sarah made it on or not. Did Sarah? Looks like I see Sarah is on, no video, but she's the other cause-based co-president for this club. And Sarah, are you on? Can I?
I'm
Perfect.
here.
All right. And where are you located, Sarah?
I'm in Guatemala.
Guatemala. Okay, thank you very much. So we also have another cause-based club that was starting to form, which was a medical or nursing club. But something in the last year has gotten in the way of any of those nurses having enough time to form a Rotary Club. But after we get through the vaccination, maybe we'll get back to that. Okay, for those of you who don't know it, Rotary has now formed a partnership with Toastmasters. I don't know an awful lot about Toastmasters, except that it's a group that has a focus on teaching people how to do public speaking. And it's been very effective in helping people to do public speaking. But with our opportunity or partnership, Rotarians are welcome at any Toastmasters meeting. So if you have ever had an interest in joining Toastmasters, you can look up their meeting and you have an automatic invitation. And we've had several meetings and discussions with the Toastmasters folks around New England, and they're very open to welcoming any Rotarians into that. And as a result, we also have told them that any Toastmaster person who wants to come to a Rotary meeting, they will be welcomed also. So this just shows that a lot of the Rotary and Toastmaster have a similar way of doing things, okay? Leadership looks a lot alike, the geographic breakdown looks a lot alike, and there are some things where they overlap, the opportunities for service and speaking and learning and networking activities, all are part of the key, if you will, DNA of both organizations. You can see the structures are nearly identical. We call them different things, but they are nearly identical. And we have the ability, if we want to take the Toastmaster courses. Again, we have the partnership. So there's a whole series of online trainings that Toastmaster has, just like there are online trainings in the Rotary Learning Center. So you can reach out, just find a club and join it. I don't know much about it, as I said, but I'm going to be learning more. Right, I'm going to unshare for a bit. And then any questions or comments or discussion on what I've presented so far?
Dick, question
Yes.
on the cause-based clubs. Are those geographic? Like, would there be an educational club in Dover limited to people in the Dover area, or is it district-wide, or is it, how do those work?
Well, the current cause-based club in education is got members in Maine, and they've also got, and our co-president is in Guatemala. And there's people from all over the world that have gotten together and are interested in a cause, which is education. Now, the nursing one, I believe, is going to be more focused in the Maine, New Hampshire, because it's going to be more people that know each other. But they won't be limited to that, but that's what it's going to be. And there are many other cause-based clubs around the world. These are just ones that we're looking in forming.
Thank you.
So Dick, am I to understand that current members of clubs can join those cause-based clubs as well, so that they can actually be in two clubs?
Generally, they pick one or the other, because any Rotarian can always join and participate in another club's activities. So most Rotarian, I don't believe that you'd have a dual or two club membership.
No.
Very few people would want to pay dues twice to two different clubs, two different district dues, and two different RI dues.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Peggy?
I just wanted to give another example to Jim. Our district is looking at an eco-caused-based club.
Great.
Thank you, Peggy.
I wasn't aware that we were moving along in that direction. I've always wanted to do that, but okay,
Well,
I'm gonna go.
It's
I'm
only
gonna-
discussion right now.
Okay, I'm going to go back to sharing screens and continue here. So now we're going to go into a big push that Rotary is doing right now, which is in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And diversity, equity, and inclusion is something that a lot of people do not understand how this applies to Rotary. Some people don't know what it means, but how does it apply to Rotary? So first, Rotary International created a diversity and inclusion statement. And there's a lot of words here, but Rotary values diversity and celebrates the contributions of all backgrounds. Those are the key words that I take out of that statement. What can your club do? Well, you can talk about diversity, you can invite local diversity, and you can connect with local organizations. You can encourage and support people who are underrepresented groups from a demographic point of view. Encourage club members to build diverse club course and learning, to the building a diverse club course in the Learning Center. And you can create a community advisory board to help with this. Is there diversity? Well, how about looking at women, young professionals, different ethnic groups, non-traditional professions, LGBTQIA? Are you diverse in all of those areas? And if not, do you want to target becoming more diverse? So what is equity versus equality? The term equity refers to fairness and justice and is distinguished from equality. So equality means providing the same to all, and equity means recognizing that we don't all start from the same place, and we need to acknowledge what adjustments are needed to incorporate different people. The process is ongoing, and it does require us to identify some and overcome intentional and unintentional barriers. So I think this is a good example of equity versus equality. The equality, they are all given the same box to stand on, but because of where they come from, it doesn't help. Whereas equity, they're all given the same opportunity to see the game. So again, looking at it from a different point of view, diversity means that everyone is invited and welcomed at your party. Equity means that everyone has the chance to help plan the party, make the decisions, and are able to attend. And inclusion means that everyone is fully engaged, dancing, talking, eating, laughing together. So diversity and inclusion. Diversity is all the different things that are available within your club, but the inclusion is fitting them all together so they fit together as a cohesive, inviting club. Now, we all start with unconscious biases. They're everyday, they're automatic, they're hardwired, and none of us are immune to them. We don't all see things in the same way. There's discrimination, bias, stereotypes, prejudice, racism, sexism. Many of us feel like we don't have many of those, but if we looked carefully, we probably would see them. Unconscious biases are those things that you're not aware of, okay? And I'm not going to read through this whole slide, but there's a whole series of things that fall into the unconscious bias. And if you are interested in understanding some of your own unconscious biases, then there is a Harvard project, that the link you can get from the PowerPoint later, and you can actually go online and go to the quiz and find out more about yourself and what your unconscious biases are. as we talked about before, the demographics of your club, it would be ideal if our clubs had the ability, were able to match the diversity of their community in their club. And that would be anything from age, race, gender, religion, sexual orientation, economic, career, handicap. Is there a bias in your club on not seeking out any of these groups? Or maybe if the bias is more rational, a better way of asking it, is your bias more targeted to some member of one of these organizations? Okay. And then do you have an active plan within your club, or do you want to lead an active plan to make your club more diverse? Okay. That's your decision. Okay. Is your meeting plan accessible? Is the place accessible? If somebody doesn't have a car, can they get there by public transportation? Is it handicapped accessible? Is it time accessible? Can a young family make it to your meeting? Can a teacher make it to your meeting? Can a nurse make it to your meeting? Can a professional person make it to your meeting? So you need to think about alternative meeting times and places. Is there an active ethnic bias to your meeting, or maybe to your menu? Do you offer hybrid meetings? Does everyone have the technology capabilities to join the Zoom meetings now? And if not, how do we help them participate? Are you non-political? Or if you're non-political, do you have political discussions where everyone's opinion is respected? Are you non-denominational versus a spiritual? So non-denominational reflective spirit versus spiritual versus specific. Now, what the heck does that mean? Well, for example, there was one club that was having a highly Christian invocation at the beginning of their meeting, and that was putting off some members who were not highly Christian. So they changed that to a thought for the day kind of invocation or start to the meeting, as opposed to a highly Christian invocation. And that's the religious plans. So you can look at yours and ensure that you don't have something which is going to be off-putting to either current members or potential members. Some inclusion questions. Are all members involved in at least 2 committees or activities? Are new members assigned a mentor? Is every member considered for leadership positions? Do you consider brand new members for leadership positions? Are members invited to participate, to bring announcements to the podium? Are they welcome in doing that? Are the activities accessible to all? So inclusion questions for your Rotary Club.
So here we are back again, talking about how important it is to be a truly welcoming club. Most clubs don't have formal agendas for their meeting, but perhaps a member could explain some of the less obvious aspects, such as the 4-way test.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial
We say
to all
this together
concerned?
at every meeting.
And what about those frequently used Rotary acronyms?
The DGE and the DGND will be at the pre-PETS meeting next week, and be sure to get the DTA on your calendars.
Happy dollars are great, but how would your sergeant's attempt at humor come across to a first-time visitor?
My granddaughter just got accepted at Yale.
Hey, that's great. Now we know at least someone in your family has some brains.
And then there's fining. Some clubs love it, but how does it look to an outsider?
Well, Tom, your picture was in the paper this week, so that'll be $10. And for any of you losers that skipped last week's service project, that's going to cost you $5.
Imagine a first-time visitor to Rotary chatting with their spouse that night.
So how's your Rotary meeting?
Wow, you wouldn't believe it. What was yours like?
I don't know where to start.
Maybe rather than assuming that everyone finds us to be a warm and friendly group, we might want to dig a little deeper. How about asking some of our visitors and guests what they think about us? But when all is said and done, the most important thing is that you make a real conscious effort to make a visitor feel welcome. Think about how you would treat a guest in your own home. If you want someone to return, they need to walk away feeling good about their experience. Next time, we'll talk about how to do a great new member induction.
As you can see, the star of our show again, this time, Lawrence is the real star. He has almost all the speaking parts. Okay, some Rotary links, some links to diversity. And again, there's a lot of information here. I obviously simplified much of it, but if you want to really get into a lot of information about diversity, here's a section on it. And we will have one session of pets, which will be about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, another thing with Rotary is the generation gap. And there is a gap between the generations, but what we want to do is make the best of it. Okay, intergenerational programs are a wonderful opportunity. It's a great way of having those of us that are retired get to maybe read in the schools with young people, or bring our grandchildren or our children to Rotary events. And it strengthens the communities with a mutual understanding. If you have that cross-generational activities, then people understand where different groups are coming from. Mentoring is a great way of using the opportunity of the generations working together, because many times the older folks in my age group really like to help other people learn the skills and understanding for the careers they need. There is prejudice, okay? There is prejudice against older people. There is prejudice against younger people, okay? But what we need to know is, do we have legacy things within our Rotary clubs that are causing problems? Are there legacy issues associated with those that have been Rotarians for years and years and know everything about it? And as a result, new people don't seem to fit in. Are there people that have deep pockets and can give tremendously to the foundation, and others can't do it? Do we make those others who can contribute their $25 a year just as special as the ones who contribute $1,000? Attendance. There are many people that don't have the ability to have high levels of attendance. But what we want to do is recognize them and appreciate them for when they can come, with respect and recognition and longevity. You know, it's good to recognize those people that have been Rotarians for 50 years, but those people, and we want to recognize those people who've done good work in the last year. We don't want to be a standardized club, okay? We want to personalize our club model so that it fits, okay? Are we stuck between we don't want to be stuck between standardization and a model for personalization. We want to be flexible. We want to be sure that our culture is agnostic to differences. We may want to look at our standardized weekly meetings and change them to either partially or fully e-clubs, okay? Look at our systems, our vision, our systems, and everything we depend on. Look at every part of Rotary. I'm going to unshare right now, and I'd like to just have an opportunity. Did any of this spark you to be thinking about things that you need to do or want to do in the next year with your club? And go ahead and just unmute and sing out.
I'm not sure if, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you fine.
I think that the idea of recognizing a new member, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 years they've been in the club, for wonderful things they've done, instead of just reserving all of our praise for the people who have been there for a long time and done multitudes. I like that idea very much. We're working hard in Rochester Rotary to bring in new members, and we have some new members who are wonderful. And that just sparked an interest in me in recognizing them, because they are such leaders in Rotary and in the community that I think it could go a long way if we gave them recognition.
Thank you very much. Well, one of the best ways to recognize them is to do the work they want to do. I heard from another district governor that they have a process where new members bring their own service project, and they're encouraged to bring an idea, and the club is going to work to try to make it work.
We have that happening, and we are just pleased with one of our newest members. Very excited. And we need more. We need more like him. I would like to clone him, but that's the kind of thing we need. We need the energy.
What are other people thinking? Bert?
I would like to add that I think every club needs what I would call an onboarding plan. We all do the fireside chat and help people to be informed about what's involved with club membership. But I think it's critically important to make new members busy in the club, participating in club activities, rather than being sort of spectators to what's going on. And that means identifying the territories, as we just heard, about things that people have to offer and leveraging them up actively.
Yeah, what about taking a project that your club has done for years and years and put new people on the committee to change it up and improve it? Billy, did I see your hand up?
I did. Does anyone in this whole Rotary, is anyone meeting in person? Is every single club in Zoom?
Every single club in our district is currently meeting on Zoom.
That's
I have
correct.
a problem enticing membership to come to somebody who has to sit in front of a screen. You need that individual spark, so to speak. So I have a problem with talking about membership at this particular time. What are you doing in a Zoom thing to entice people to come join you?
Well, maybe you've got a special interest club you're going to join, the over 70s who just got their vaccinations.
Okay.
I 4 weeks after you get your second vaccination, they may start to feel more comfortable in a meeting situation. I know several of our clubs have had meetings where they socially distance, where they're 6 feet apart, either outdoors, some have been outdoors, but even indoors. And so as people get more comfortable, I think your clubs are going to start to think about transitioning. And I think you all need to be planning on that. We as a district are going to put together what we feel are best practices and things to help you with. But every one of you is going to have to think about, how am I going to transition back?
Mm-hmm. Dick, can I just say also that a good way, Billy, to invite a potential new member is to open up a service project or fundraiser and invite them to start there. And it's also about changing your meeting around and changing the format and things of that nature. Attend another, invite them to come to another Rotary Club's meeting. There's all kinds of ways, but especially to help out a service project is a nice way to start.
Yeah, a lot of people have been doing, soup kitchens and food pantries and, our whole mask project and several other service opportunities. Greg.
Yeah, Dick, I just wanted to share that I love your attention to the culture of the club. And one of the things that we have often asked ourselves is at Dover is why do we do the things we do? And we had some pretty honest conversations around that, around the whole concept of we had an event, a social event we used to call Thirsty Tuesday. And, one of our Rotarians asked another Rotarian to attend the meeting. He said, well, I don't drink. Well, Thirsty Tuesday was never about alcohol. It was about coming together socially. And so we said, and Jim is on this call, and Jim said, maybe we need to change the name of this. And we did. We changed it to Together on Tuesday. So just those subtle things that you do and say in club meetings and as you interact with each other impact your culture. And don't be afraid to change what you've been doing forever, because you need to ask the question, why are we doing what we're doing? So I love your focus on culture.
Well, Jim, I guess you want to follow up.
Yeah, I want to talk about something, Dick. When you were talking about inclusion and diversity, it made me think, because just yesterday we sent a survey out to members because we're prepping to eventually get back to in-person meetings, and a few of us were thinking that it was going to change what we were doing. So we sent out a survey asking people about their preferred meeting times and whether they wanted to come back to in-person every week. And we got a surprising amount of participation in the survey, and the results were overwhelmingly in favor of going back exactly as we were doing it. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And then when you were talking, I realized that the reason we got that response was because we were surveying our existing members who are very comfortable with that model. And it really doesn't tell us anything about what prospective members want. And I think we need to rethink that approach a little bit, because we have a very white, very gray club. We're very gender diverse, but like most Rotaries, I think most of us are north of 50, and even a little further north for some of us. And I would like to, I'm thrilled with the diversity initiative that Rotary is taking, and I hope to be able to make our club look a little different next year than it does today. But
well, we've got several people that are under 50 today on the call.
Excuse me?
I said we have several people on the call today that are under 50, if you notice.
That's fabulous.
Lawrence?
Yeah, that's not me, unfortunately. But anyway, I just want to get back to Billy. We've had a little luck with our club with a number of new members, and it's by speakers. It's an old thing. It's a traditional Rotary thing. Who do you have as your speaker at your club meeting? And I think a lot of times, well, we just try to find somebody who's going to get up there and talk for 20 minutes, and we don't care or think about it. But if you can get some good speakers who are talking about interesting and informative topics, it makes, a meeting very interesting and very appealing, to somebody who might be a new member to come. So think about that and try to be creative and find some really good speakers who will attract people and interest people.
I agree with you totally, and it was great to hear about Toastmasters, because I may need some help speaking. So I would like to talk to this Toastmaster guy, see what I can do to help myself.
Yeah, and when you talk about meetings, they don't have to be speakers. I mean, there's a ton of video available on Rotary International that you can download a 15-minute video and then have a discussion afterwards. And you probably would find one or two people in the club that could lead that discussion. And so you can make use of that also. So it's not just speakers. And also, while you're still on Zoom, pretty much anybody is available. I mean, there's tons of people that are speaking, and especially 20 minutes. It's most people will be more than willing to talk for 20 minutes if you target them and say, boy, I'm interested in your subject. Any other hands there? Bert?
One thing we do in Exeter is we encourage people that are not members of the club to participate in projects. And we have a project putting out luminaries in town on Christmas Eve, which has very, very high visibility. And it attracts quite a number of people, children of members, people associated with the chamber. And so encouraging non-members to participate in visible community service projects is a good strategy. And I don't know about other clubs, I imagine most of you do, but we are an active member of our Chamber of Commerce here. And that is a terrific portal to publicity.
Sadie, I saw your hand up.
I just wanted to say, as one of the members on the call under 50, that I might consider, when we do get back to normal, having a subsidiary club that can meet on occasion virtually, because I will say, as someone that's working and juggling other volunteer opportunities, it is significantly easier for me to hop on a Zoom call in the morning than it is to meet in a physical location. And I know a number of friends and acquaintances I've approached that about joining Rotary, they echo the similar sentiment that our meeting time at 7 is very difficult to do on a Monday, but a call later, even if it's separated, is easier to do. And we have been inviting people to join for specific speakers, really focusing on the talent in our town, which has been great. And also doing some service projects related to our West Side trails, and also trying to get involvement from parents of interactors, which has been a great opportunity. We've been really trying to plug in to that group and fostering those connections where possible.
Well, Sadie's a member of a small club. What have you got, 18 to 20 members, Sadie?
That's generous. It's 8 members really that are steady, 14 in total.
But you've got one of the largest Interact clubs around, and
Yes.
a very, very active Interact club. And you also have had very active service projects in the town, with the most recent one, the boardwalk,
yes,
to the outdoor viewing station. So even a smaller club with only 8 people can make a big difference in their community. Comments from anybody else? Kathleen.
So I was just going to mention that I'm a prime example of, I've been a member in Freeport for probably less than 5 years now, but when I came on board, they engaged me immediately. They actually created a new position for me. It was called executive secretary. And it made all the difference, because I don't remember how quickly they appointed me to that, probably within the first 6 months. And it helped me engage, because at that 2-year mark where you really think about, do I really want to stay here? Or I was really on the fence about that, but just being engaged made all the difference to me. And then I'm just a devoted member and have my own passions, etc. So anyways, so that's just a little piece of my own story. So I couldn't highly recommend that enough for others to do that as well. So, and the executive secretary became it was kind of a nothing position. Essentially, they made me a scribe, but it was just enough. The position doesn't even exist anymore. But it was just enough to pull me in, and it was very proactive in retaining me, because our we're also a very small group, 20 at the most, and we're a group, we're not increasing or decreasing. We've been stagnant essentially for I think I'm the last new member from 5 years ago. So anyways, so thank you.
Katie, is your hand up? I can't quite see.
No, my hand wasn't up, but
I saw your left hand in the air, but
no, but I will just kind of add in, I'm really excited to hear, talk about how we invite new members in. It's been a lot of conversation, in our club and with Kath, my co-president for Portland Sunrise. And I just remember, as I was kind of getting into the club at first, not having any real connection to Rotary other than knowing that my grandfather was a Rotarian. There were so many questions I had and so many things that sometimes made me nervous at club. And so I really like the idea of having, someone that's really there for the person and explaining to them like step by step why things might be said or done. And that can kind of take some of that intimidation away sometimes.
Lorraine?
Well, two things. One is Billy's comment really made me think, because my initial reaction to what Billy said was, yeah, but we've got 2 new members coming on board. And then I thought about it and I realized one of them is currently working remotely, although her job really wouldn't be normally. And the other one is working remotely. His business is in a whole nother state. One's young, one's 55 or so. But, and I realized they're more used to the Zoom meetings and the working remotely, which was, thank you, Billy, that really made me think. But the other thing is, in terms of involving new members, and it's much easier when you're in person or hybrid, but what we try to do is with a brand new member, the first month, they're the greeter. It's a real simple job, low tech, smile, shake hands, bump elbows, whatever we're doing now, but you meet everybody and everybody meets you, and it's a, maybe a month or two before you get a service project. But if you make somebody the greeter right away, they're involved, they got a job, and they're meeting everybody. So
are they greeters on virtual too?
Well, we haven't really done that. I have to think for a minute how we're going to adapt that. But when we go back to in-person and hybrid, that's we'll figure it out. There's a way, we'll figure it out.
Peggy.
I wanted to segue off of something that Kathleen said, and Rotary data has proven that members, if they're going to leave, are going to leave within the first 2 years. So you're right on, Kathleen, when you say that, getting engaged is what is, was important and what made you stay in Rotary. And that's key. I think that's the key. And the other is that membership is not just about increasing our numbers. It's about increasing the right people in the right clubs. It's about, it's about offering opportunities for them to do something that they want to do. The worst thing we can do is to say to someone, you're just meeting them. Oh, when are you going to join? You got to give people a chance to get to know Rotary. And so I just wanted to share that, and thanks.
All right. We're at 7 o'clock. And so what I want to do is, I would love to keep this conversation going, but it's scheduled for an hour. So I am not insulted one bit if anybody chooses that the hour is up and you're ready to sign off. But I want to tell you that this has been recorded. The session's been recorded, and I will post this as well as the PowerPoint for your reference in the next few days. And thank you very much for everybody who's attended. And as I said, I would love to continue to listen to anybody who wants to talk. Diane, did you want to say something?
She's saying goodbye.
Okay, bye. Goodbye.
I just wanted to say, the new member in Damascata is somebody I brought in. So it doesn't even have to be in your own club. Get them to join Rotary.
All right.
And then we got a second one this week.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
So you're 50% now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peggy.
The current president of the Wells Rotary Club has brought 2 new members into our club. So yeah, network. If somebody that you know that could belong to another club, please do that.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, Lawrence.
Yeah.
The current and future president of the Wells Club.
Right.
She's going to
She's a
stay
bundle
on for another
manager.
year.
I'd like to thank Lawrence because when I joined Rotary and someone say, why did you join Rotary? It's because we had such great speakers, you know, and I went to Rotary just to hear the speakers because I learned something and there was some avenue that I had never experienced before and it was inspiring. So, but one thing with Zoom, and I am in charge of speakers now, and we now have local television who's grabbing all the local talent. So everybody knows everybody here. So, but with Zoom, you can try to find contacts to speak from farther away, you know? So that's been an interesting thing that you're not, you know, I can look anywhere to get somebody to come speak to us if they're interesting.
Yeah.
And also, Billy, you know, we send out occasionally, like the South Portland Cape Elizabeth Rotary Club hosted last year's immediate past RI president, Mark Maloney. So we opened that up. So when you have a big speaker, when Portland Sunrise had, you know, had their special speakers for polio, how we opened it up to the district. So those are other opportunities. Some clubs, instead of a regular club meeting, will attend another club's meeting because they have this special topic or this special speaker.
That's a good idea. Thanks. Thank you all, but I'm gonna go eat the rest of my supper.
All right, feel free. I've only got one more Zoom meeting tonight. I have another one that starts at 8 o'clock with.
Oh, no way.
It's
Oh,
part of an IA.
yeah.
Thank you for everything, Dick. It was wonderful. Very
Thanks
appreciated.
again, Dick.